are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 255 of the College Loop Podcast, if I'm not mistaken. I'm Dylan Larck, on Twitter, here to talk to you today about yesterday's loss to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I'll have to be a little honest with everybody. I'm a little sick. Got a little head cold going on. So if there's going to be a lot of muting to cough, then go ahead and expect that here. But as you can see, I've already gotten ready for basketball season. I am wearing a basketball jersey. I am wearing a basketball hat. I have a timer in the top right now where I'm going to be counting down the days till Auburn basketball. November 6th is the day to look forward to, everybody. The Peyton Thorne experiment needs to be over. Ride with Hank, says Lawrence Robinson. And I think that's a sentiment everyone can agree with. Hank Brown got benched yesterday at the half after going 7 of 13 for, I don't have the box score up in front of me right now. I'm pulling it up. 7 of 13, 72 yards, and 3 interceptions. Went in at halftime. Coach Freeze was visibly and vocally upset at what he saw in the first half. Then as the second half came around, Peyton Thorne stepped out in the field. I went into halftime. I talked to some buddies about this. I did not expect Peyton Thorne to go out in the field. I thought, you bench your starting quarterback, then everyone calls upon you to start at the backup, and then as soon as the backup starts playing bad, you immediately go back to the starter that you benched. That doesn't add up. It doesn't. And of course, Peyton Thorne didn't play bad. I mean, 13 of 22, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, had an interception, but it was a tip up in the air. But that's a ball that Cam Coleman should have caught. It's also a ball that probably should have been thrown a little bit better. I see it both ways. But going forward, I don't know what the solution is for this offense. We are 4 weeks into this season. Auburn's offense does not have an identity. 4 weeks into the season, Auburn's offense has yet to have found an identity. We thought they found one last week. They found a nice balance of passing the ball and rushing the ball. This week, they fully just were not rushing the ball. Jarquez Hunter only had 12 carries. Damari had 3, and Damari had a very bad fumble. I'll get to turnovers in a second. Hank Brown had 2 carries. Peyton Thorne had 5. And you go down further, Malcolm Simmons had 2, and Jeremiah Cobb had 1. I don't know in what world where Hank Brown should have more carries than Jeremiah Cobb, or have 1 less carry than Damari Alston, or have the same amount of carries as Malcolm Simmons. I don't understand what this offense is, and I don't think anyone does. I don't even think the coaching staff knows what they want right now. And don't get any sentiment from this that I want Hugh Freeze fired. If you're calling for a head coach to get fired in a second year, and there's not any outlying issues right now that I'm aware of, I don't think you call for head coach's job right now. I'm not for that. But there's a clear, invisible problem with execution on the field. Auburn is now going into has had 6 straight games. 6 straight games going back to last year's Iron Bowl, where they have had 2 or more turnovers. Auburn has 6 games in a row. Auburn has given the ball to the other team multiple times. There have been 2 games this season where Auburn has had 5 or more turnovers. That cannot happen. It has now been made a habit. Auburn has made a habit out of giving the ball to the other team, which is something I know I'm just a podcaster here, and I'm a football analyst here. I would argue that you don't want to do that. And I think that you messed up by benching Hank Brown here. I really think you did. I think you did so much to his confidence and negatively that you went right back to Peyton Thorne, and now you're in the same pickle that you were in 2 weeks ago after Cal. Now you have a whole other question to answer now. Who are you starting at quarterback? Are you going to put Peyton Thorne back out there? Is the Peyton Thorne era now back on track? Is the Hank Brown era no more? Do you keep going with Hank Brown and hopefully he develops into the quarterback that you said he would be? Do you throw another quarterback under the bus? Do you put Holden Gardner in there? Do you put Walker White in there? Do you throw Sawyer Pate out there. Like, who are you going to put out there next? That is the question of the week. Every single thing that we talk about this week is going to be who is going to take that first snap at quarterback for the Auburn Tigers against Oklahoma. Auburn plays Oklahoma next week, and Oklahoma's defense is really good. They held Tennessee to under 30 points. That is a masterclass of defense. Now, their offense leaves a lot to be desired, as does Auburn's, but Oklahoma has a defense that has been legit thus far into the season. But you've now set yourself up for just another hectic, chaotic week of practicing, trying to figure out who you were going to put out there for the first snap against Oklahoma. And I don't know who it should be. I would assume Hank Brown would be the smart choice here. But you just don't know now. Do you put the freshman quarterback back in front of the truck again? Hope he doesn't turn to a deer in the headlights and freeze and throw 3 interceptions. And yeah, some of the interceptions weren't his fault. There was 2 tips that were interceptions, but you can't help the fact that he's the one throwing that ball. The Rivaldo Fairweather tip drill, that was a bad pass. There was the second one, that was a bad pass. And then I go into like the Peyton Thorne interception. That was a not terrible pass, but it wasn't good enough for Cam Coleman to bring it in. But you do bring Cam Coleman in to make those catches. I don't know where you turn from here. This was such a poor performance from the offense. There has now been 2 games of the season now where Auburn has only put up 14 points with an offensive-minded head coach. And it just everything seems to start with the inability to run the ball. I don't know why throughout the entirety of the offseason we were told that the run game was the best part of this offense. And there's only been 1 game out of 4, 25% of the games Auburn has played thus far, has the run game been a viable part for Auburn. I don't get it. And I'm about to sneeze, so give me 1 second to kind of gather myself here. I'm trying to hold it in. But yeah, Jarquez under 12 carries, 67 yards. Damari Austin, 3 carries, 38 yards, and a absolutely abysmal fumble. That is, it's becoming too common now. The turnovers are going to be such a big thing to talk about for the remainder of the season. I don't know if Auburn can go a game without turning over the ball now. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's even remotely possible for Auburn to not turn over the football. It has just become laughable at this point. Auburn is dead last, or I guess first, whichever way you want to go with it here, in turnover margin. Auburn gives the ball to the other team more than any other team in the country. Auburn gives the football back to the other team more than any other team in the country. That is abysmal. That is the worst stat you could possibly be leading in. And now you go into, again, this is another week. It's another week. It's the same crap, different week every single time. I don't know who to go into. I don't know. Someone put a stat up yesterday that Auburn's on track to have more interceptions this season than Auburn did in 2012. I look at the remainder of the schedule, and I don't see very many wins. I see ULM. I'd argue with Vandy, but Vandy has been kind of good this year. And by kind of good, I mean really good this year, outside of the Georgia State loss. But they took Missouri, a top 7 team, to overtime in Missouri. And they traveled to Jordan-Hare Stadium November 2nd. I don't know what either team looks like at that point. Auburn has maybe 4 games remaining that they potentially would have a chance of winning in. Just a chance. But right now, to me, Auburn only has 1 game where I'm confident they can win. That's a 3-9 season. That is 3-9. The last time Auburn went 3-9 was 2012, again, where Auburn fired Gene Chizik. I don't think that Hugh Freeze will get fired. I think he is doing enough off the field with recruiting to save it for next year. But you have to keep those recruits. You got to show that you can compete in the SEC with the recruits that you are bringing in. Again, I'm not saying that Hugh Freeze should be fired. He shouldn't be. You're in year 2. You always should give a coach 3 years to get it right. But you're in, and of course that kind of implies that, you know, if they're recruiting well, you give them 3 years, and hopefully you start to see the proof of concept with the recruits he brought in. Brian Hart's a whole other story. He wasn't recruiting at all. But you're getting into the 5th game of the season. You were welcoming Oklahoma into Jordan-Hare Stadium for the first time ever. These two teams are meeting in the regular season, ever in history of either program. And Oklahoma didn't look great against Tennessee. Offensively, they looked bad. They put in their backup quarterback, and he actually started moving the ball in Tennessee's defense. I don't know where you turn it at quarterback here. I want to hope and pray that you put Hank Brown back out there and you try to see if he can get right. Peyton Thorne has enough film on him where he does not look the part. And he played well, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. Going even further, you know, you have receivers that can get the job done. Look at Keandre Lambert-Smith yesterday. 5 catches. He had 10 targets, by the way. 10 targets, 5 catches, 156 yards, had 2 touchdowns. Masterclass. Auburn has receivers that can get the job done, but they don't have a quarterback that can. And I'm sorry, my throat's absolutely killing me right now. But I just the offensive conversation is going to be, what can you do in just 5 days of practice? Or I guess 6 days. I guess you practice on Sundays. I hope they practice on Sundays. You should be running practice every single day. I hope they ran practice last night. What can you do in 6 days to fix what came on the field? And I don't think there's anything much to do. You have to be able to survive until the bye week. And the bye week is in 2 weeks. You have to play Oklahoma. You have to play Georgia in Athens. And then you have a bye week. And then you can start figuring your stuff out. But you have to survive. You have to show that you can compete. And, of course, their losses aren't terrible. I mean, 10-point loss to Arkansas, which I consider being a bad loss, and a 7-point loss to Cal. The defense is keeping you in games. There is no way in the world Auburn should have only lost to Arkansas or Cal by 10 and 7 points, respectively. When you turn over the ball 5 times or more, you should be losing every game by 40. That's how it really is. The defense has been playing very good. And some of the stats won't show it because, you know, they rank very low in pass yards. But looking at the teams Auburn's been playing and the games they've lost, it really just looks like the defense is tired. That's what it looks like to me. It's just the defense is tired. They are tired of getting back on the field after 3, 4, 5 plays every single drive. There's just not much happening with the offense to give the defense enough time to get rested up. Auburn's defense came out yesterday on fire. And I'll kind of move to the defense here. The defense came ready to play. Champ Anthony, before he got injured and snapped his leg, I saw an angle of it, and his leg looked like it snapped the other way. Before Champ Anthony had his injury, he had 3 PBUs. He was on pace to already have his career game as a Tiger, playing outside corner. They were on fire. And something happened during that drive, and they couldn't get off the field. After that first drive of the game, Arkansas came out and just ran the ball the entire time down Auburn's throat. Kept the ball for around 10 minutes, I think. But they were able to get stops when they could. They were able to force interceptions. They got 2 picks yesterday. The defense has been playing well. The defense, outside of the 3-man rush, which I think should be banned. I think there should be a petition drawn up on just somewhere to ban the 3-man rush. It's bad. Other than that, that's the only complaint I have about the defense. They are going to give up points when the offense isn't producing. but the defense is only able to do so much. The defense is only able to do so much. It's just bad football offensively. It is just so bad. And I'll kind of get to some of your comments here. Let's see. That's a good look at more Thompson's. The only people ask, I think the only thing I can think of is they didn't want Hank with 4 or 5 interceptions. Maybe, but I think it'd be dumb to take him out when you already. I don't know. You take him out of the game and hinder all in any chance that he gets right. You've now shown to your younger quarterback that if he messes up, he's getting taken out. You've now opened the revolving door of quarterbacks that Auburn had in 2012. When you were constantly just taking guys and putting them in, throwing them back out there, taking them out, putting them back in there. That's what you're opening up. That's what just happened yesterday. Is the revolving door is now in motion. Holden Gardner's going to get some passes this year. Walker White's going to get some passes this year. That's what the trajectory is now. If it's just because he's throwing interceptions, that's fine. But why are you going right back to the guy you just benched? That's the thing I don't understand. I think someone put down here saying Purvis Hurd should have stuck with Hank. I completely agree. You ruin you ruin the learning opportunity. As a quarterback coach, you have ruined the learning opportunity for him to get right. So I don't know. Hank did move the team without going 3 and out so many times. He just needed a little settling down, and that goes with coaching. I mean, the first drive of the game, that first interception he threw, I mean, the ball was being moved down the field. I mean, if I look at Hank Brown's his passing, 7 of 13 and 3 interceptions. He was 7 of 10 if you don't count the interceptions. He was making throws, correct. He was making the correct throws. He just 3 of those balls just didn't go your way. I don't know. You got to find a way to balance it out, and it just I don't know if it can. Lawrence Robinson, Thorne can't make decisions in crucial moments. His situational awareness is bad. Taking bad sacks when you're trying to come from behind is just awful. I mean, I did this a lot last year, where he just runs around the pocket and doesn't get the ball out. There's an issue at hand whenever your quarterback would rather take a sack than throw the ball away. And that's a coaching issue. Your quarterback should never be willing to take a sack when he can throw the ball out. That's something that should never happen with a veteran quarterback. If you're getting bull rushed, get the ball out. Throw it out of bounds or just try to get – it makes no sense to me. Teresa, Hank was just nervous. I still think he's still better, just needs to regain his confidence. And, yeah, exactly. He had confidence against New Mexico. And he had a lot of confidence coming into this game. That graphic that they kept showing about him saying he wants to dominate Arkansas, he was confident about this game. Things didn't go right. Things were rough. And the adversity at hand for him, he was not shown by his coaching staff that he is able to get through any adversity he gets. The coaching staff basically just told him, you're not going to be able to help us in these situations. We're going to go back to the guy who has shown that he can't help us. So it's weird to me. Hank's interception was the right read, but poorly thrown. I like Hank's quick decisions. Completely agree. I think he's a better passer than Peyton Thorne is. He is a better passer. Back to Lawrence Robinson again. Makes every yard we earn look overly difficult. He can't make the easy passes consistently to me. He made a lot of great throws yesterday. I will give Peyton Thorne a lot of credit. He made a lot of good throws yesterday. But as a whole, he can't win games in the SEC. I would not trust him against Oklahoma defense. I wouldn't trust him against Georgia's defense. He's shown too much. Cal's defense was too much for him. Georgia and Oklahoma have better defenses. And we got to go Hogs in here. I don't want to. When Harsin got fired, we had over 20 turnovers that season. On pace for that right now. We might even have. Hold on, I'm gonna do the math on this real quick. We might already have pretty close to that. Let's see, 8 interceptions. Does ESPN keep fumbles? I don't think ESPN keeps fumbles. Let's see, 2 fumbles. So that's 10 turnovers right there in the first game. Then you had a fumble. Yeah, 2 fumbles, 14. I think you're already around like 16. I think you have 16 turnovers already. So, yeah. Auburn's on pace for that. What happened in 2013? Would we be okay with this year being like 2012? Next year was like 2013. I mean, if there was any way to confirm that next year was going to be like a 2013, I'd be fine with it. But I don't want this to be a consistent thing with Auburn. Is you have to have a horrifically bad season and then get a good season out of it. Auburn has everything in place in there everywhere. I mean, the facilities, the NIL funds, the recruiting. Auburn has everything to where they shouldn't have seasons like this. Auburn should not have seasons like this regularly. I think Auburn's on pace for another losing season. Their third season in a row with the losing record. Auburn is a top 15 program in college football history. Auburn should not have seasons like this consecutively. I would love it if next year was like 2013. But at this point, I don't know who's going to be passing the ball to wide receivers. And then last comment here, what offense was good that Auburn has played? I mean, I would argue that Arkansas had a pretty good offense coming into this game. They had one of the best rush offenses in the country. Jaquindon Jackson's an excellent running back. Taylor Green's a little dicey with his arm, but he's a pretty good dual threat quarterback. He's probably the best quarterback we've played this year, arguably. Devin Dampierre's a really good quarterback, and Fernando Mendoza, I had no idea that he was as good as he was against us, at least. But yeah, Arkansas has a good offense. Good rush offense. They were a great test for us to stop the run. I think we did a decent job outside of just letting the quarterback run happen. Because I'm pretty sure Jaquindon Jackson had 75 yards on the ground, which is good for stopping him from getting another 100-yard game. He's 400 yards rushing coming into this game. So Arkansas does have a good offense. They have a good rush offense. And that's what I would say for that. But overall, looking at this game, I want to say the best thing to do here is, of course, give the keys back to Hank Brown. That's where I think Auburn should go with this. I think you should go back to Hank Brown. I think that once you show confidence that, hey, you had a bad game, pick yourself up, get back at it next week. And I mean, quarterbacks get benched all the time. It happens, but it shouldn't happen so much. You never want to bench your quarterback and then have to go back to the guy you just benched. It's a bad look. And Professor just asked, what do you think will happen to recruiting? I don't know if this there's the positives and negatives to it. There's the pros and cons to a game like this. The pro is what Hugh Freeze said, is that you hope recruits can look at this game and say, oh, I can help this team. I can fix this team if I get on this. If me and this 4-star wide receiver and this other 4-star dude, if we get on this team, we will play pretty as soon as we get on campus, just about. And we can help this team get better. That's what you hope will happen. But you also have to watch out for the cons of this. There is the chance that you watch this game happen and then you take Auburn off of your radar because you're not showing off that your recruits can play well. You're not showing that you can recruit, you can develop talent. That's what you're showing, is that, hey, this talent that we brought in isn't getting developed. I mean, you're looking at Deuce Knight's been at Auburn for 3 out of the past 4 weeks. And Auburn's not gotten a commit out of him yet. They're trying. Auburn is trying their hardest to get Deuce Knight to flip his commitment from Notre Dame. And you're watching Peyton Thorne not get developed. You're watching Hank Brown get benched after having a bad half. That does more for a quarterback than anything else. I think that you're looking at skill position players, offensive line, D-line, those position players can look at that and say, we can help this team out. Quarterbacks are looking at this game and should be thinking, will I get developed here? Is there enough trust put in me as a recruit, as a potential developmental piece? Is there enough trust for me in this offense? If I have 2 interceptions in a game, will I have my job by the next time I come out on the field? If I fumble a snap, will I be put back out there for the next drive? That's the issue at hand, is there's no consistency with what you expect from your quarterbacks. And then there's also no consistency from what you see from your quarterbacks. So that's the negative connotation of a game like this. It's going to hurt your recruits, your quarterback recruits' like perception of what you can do as a coach, of what you can do on what they can do on this team. So overall, I mean, I hope it's the first one. I hope the more pros, they can come on this team right away and help out. But you got to be worried about the other part. Let's see, Teresa. Yeah, Hank Brown. If we aren't going to have a winning season, I'd rather have him get the reps, see where he can go. We may get a portal quarterback, but he will still be a backup for at least one more year. I bet. I mean, Auburn is definitely going to be in the market for a transfer portal quarterback at this point. I definitely think that is definitely the case here, is that Auburn is going to be in the market for a transfer portal quarterback. But my thing is, I don't know who in the world it would be, because you're looking at guys from the lower tier schools to transfer out, and then you hope that they can turn into stars in another league. Like, I can't lie, Devin Dampierre wouldn't be upset if he wanted to be an Auburn Tiger. Would not be upset whatsoever. He balled out against Auburn's defense. I think he would ball out in the SEC, and if he had a team around him. But I don't know. You hope that Hank Brown going the next year would be the starter and would be developed, or Walker White would battle out and get it. And then you have the proof of concept start in year 3 that, hey, quarterbacks are getting developed. But I don't know at this point. I don't know where you turn. If you can't get a recruit to come in, you're looking at Hank Brown, Walker White, or another transfer portal quarterback. And if a transfer portal quarterback comes in and looks like Peyton Thorne, again, that's going to be rough for you. Lawrence Robinson, again, we have to have a play calling philosophy change. We need to limit the passes to about 20 per game, have to feature the run game. Completely agree. We saw against New Mexico, and again, just throwing it out there, that they have the worst defense in the league. New Mexico is statistically one of the worst defenses in college football. And Auburn ran the ball 30 times between 2 running backs, between Jarquez Hunter and Damari Alston. And at some point, I mean, going back to the turnovers, you know the run game is your best part, is the most consistent part of your offense. But can you quit giving the ball to the other team? Can you hold on to the football? That's something that we have not been able to see yet from this Auburn offense. Is can they keep the ball in the hands of the running back, and can the running back keep the ball in their hands whenever they get that first contact? We've not seen that yet. I've seen running backs run into contact and fumble the ball. Jarquez Hunter did that against New Mexico. That was his fumble, was he ran into contact and the ball came out. You need to run the ball to win football games. Auburn will have to run the ball to win football games. But in order to run the football, they need to quit giving the ball to the other team. Auburn running backs need to quit giving the ball to the other team if they want to win football games. Simple, easy fix right there. Just don't give the ball away. And everything, almost everything, will be fixed for your offense. If Auburn didn't turn over the ball in the red zone twice, I mean, I'm going to count Damari Alston's in the red zone because he was at like the 10 or 5-yard line when it happened. Auburn would have put up about 28 points. At one point in this game, had Auburn not had 2 turnovers inside the red zone or inside the 30s, Auburn would have had 28 points scored in this game. And that's embarrassing that you're keeping yourself off the scoreboard because you can't quit giving up the football. It's the dumbest thing ever. But we'll go to a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to give the grades for the team. I'll give my players of the game, my play of the game, and then we'll talk a little bit about what the other teams in the SEC look like in week 4. So that will be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat. And you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. All right, so again, warreport.com, go to the shop. First page is the college loop hat. Second page, Feelin' Loopy t-shirt, most comfortable things you're going to wear in your entire life. Talk about last week, if you wear the merch, Auburn wins football games. People aren't wearing the merch. That's the problem. Easy fix. Just buy the merch, and Auburn starts winning football games. Or we can just sit down and wait till basketball season. 45 days to wait till basketball season, everybody. All right, so grades for this game. This is a tough one for me because offense is going to get a D. Flat out get a D. You did things well. Keandre Lambert-Smith is going to win my player of the game, offensive player of the game. And that's no doubt. He's the reason this offense is not an F. I've seen too much of this offense. More turnovers happening. You give up on your freshman quarterback after giving him the keys, after giving up on your senior quarterback, and you give the keys right back to the guy who just crashed his car. You saw a senior quarterback crash your car several times within the 13-game span that he was the true starter. Then your freshman crashes once, and you take his keys out. You ground him, and you give it back to the senior. That earns you this. The turnovers earn you this. Keeping yourself off the scoreboard earn you a D grade on the game. You did some things well, but you failed to put up more than 14 points yet again this year. I think against Cal, I said a C. This earns you a D. And offensive player of the game, going to go and say it. Keandre Lambert-Smith, 5 catches, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. The bright spot of this offense yesterday, and definitely was the most fun part of this game, without a doubt in my mind, which not saying much. Defensive grade. Defense is going to get a B minus. I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is C plus B minus range. You made key stops. You got tired. I'm not going to hold you to that. You did a group project, and your other group members did not help out with their part of the project, and you ended up looking sloppy at some points. They had the ball 13 more minutes, which is a credit to how bad the offense played. So B minus for the defense. I'm not going to hold them too much against what happened to them yesterday. Defensive player of the game. This one is a tough one to me. I think a lot of guys have an argument for this. I think Jaron Thompson played very well. You saw Kyan Lee play well. But I think because of how he opened up the game, and he set the tone early, and then Auburn decided to not keep it going for the remainder of the game. I think I'm going to give the honorary player of the game to Champ Anthony. 3 PBUs in 1 drive, and got knocked out of the game, and probably for a good chunk of the season, if all of it. I think Champ Anthony gets player of the game. Backup, if I had to pick another one, it'd be Jaron Thompson or Jalen McLeod would be the other picks. Probably Jalen McLeod second and Jaron Thompson 1. But Champ Anthony came out of the gun as the most ready player on the field. So I'm going to give the champ Anthony because I think he's earned it. All right, so looking at the remainder of the SEC, and then we'll get out of here unless anyone's got any more questions for me. So starting off, Texas takes on UL Monroe. Arch Manning has his first career start where he throws 2 interceptions but has 2 touchdowns as well. So this was an expected win to happen. I'm not going to talk too much about that. Texas beat a team that Auburn could beat. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, that it would. Ole Miss has a slow start, but able to get the win over Georgia Southern. Expected to happen with that one. Lawrence Robinson talking about Jalen McLeod's tip pass and 4th down stop. Completely agree with that. That's what he's second. He's second. He's second. Champ Anthony just started off out of the gun, ready to go. So I'm going to respectfully give it to him. Tennessee beats Oklahoma in a defensive showcase for both teams. More so for Oklahoma, holding Tennessee to just 25 points and forcing Nico Iamaleava to turn over the ball a few times and the fumble. So I hold it to Oklahoma's defense on that one, that they were able to shut down a top 5 team now from getting any more than just the 25 that they got. So huge ups to Oklahoma, but Auburn's offense got a lot of fixing the dip. They're going to be able to move the ball in Oklahoma's defense. Jury's out on where Oklahoma's offense will look like. That game, Auburn-Oklahoma, might be 3-2. That might be the score to Auburn-Oklahoma. It might be 3-2, and I could not tell you who has the 3. Couldn't tell you. Vanderbilt-Missouri. Vanderbilt takes Missouri to overtime and not able to get it done in double overtime, missing the kick wide left. Pavia had a good game. Brady Cook had a great game, but Missouri able to hold out. And this is a game for the Auburn fans should be a little worried about because Auburn plays both these teams. And you're hoping that you can get the win over Missouri. And maybe you're hoping Missouri play down to Vanderbilt's level, or you're terrified that Vanderbilt's playing up to Missouri's level. So there you go with that one. Up next, LSU has slow start, but able to get the win over UCLA, who was a very bad team. No shocker there, though, that they were able to finally get on top. Texas A&M, another game to watch out for Auburn, but Bowling Green has been giving teams fits all season. A&M gets the win over Bowling Green, 26-20. Former Missouri quarterback Connor Bazelak, they're leading both teams with passing yards. Florida able to hold off from firing Billy Napier for another week as he gets his first SEC win of the season. Might be his only one of the season. Against Mississippi State, 45-28. Not a big bragging game there for Florida. Kentucky's able to absolutely demolish Ohio, 41-6, in a game that, again, Auburn fans should be very worried about. Kentucky has a good offense. And the cream de la cream. South Carolina takes down Akron 50-7 behind the arm and the legs of one Robbie Ashford. I'm going to brag about this game a lot. Robbie Ashford, 15-21, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also ran the ball 16 times for 133 yards and had a touchdown as well on the ground. Robbie Ashford masterclass. I'll keep the bit going for as long as Robbie Ashford keeps outplaying Auburn quarterbacks. So when you're right, you're right. What can I say? But yeah, with that, that's going to do it for the installment of the College Loop podcast. We're getting close to 40 minutes. My throat is absolutely killing me after this. The head cold is not my friend right now. So pray for me to get better as the Monday show or the Tuesday show comes around the corner, where we're going to talk about everything that's been going on with Auburn athletics. And hopefully the press conference tomorrow is going to have a lot of eyes on it yet again. I would assume a question is going to be asked about the quarterback position. And a day later, I don't know if Hugh Freeze is going to have a good answer or even an answer at all. So hold off for that. We'll talk about that on the Tuesday show. That being said, thanks for tuning in to this installment of the College Loop podcast. I'm, of course, Dylan Larck, @Boateng on Twitter. Also on Instagram as well, @Dylan Larck, DYLENLERCK. Visual aids right there for both those. My name and, of course, my Twitter handle right there. Don't forget, 45 days to Auburn basketball. Stay patient. Stay vigilant. We can make it November 6th. Basketball starts November 6th. We can make it, everybody. Auburn basketball will give us all the joyous release that we need from Auburn athletics right now. And of course, volleyball is playing well too. Volleyball and soccer both playing well. So Auburn is doing well at other fields and courts right now, just not on the football field. But of course, check us out on College Loop Podcast right here on YouTube and also everywhere else on social media. And of course, audio versions of the show as well on Spotify Podcast, Google Podcasts, of course, Amazon Music. But of course, with all that being said, thanks for tuning in. And as always, War Eagle.